Hello everyone, and welcome to the Refresh Point. My name is Steve, and as always, I'm joined by my constant co-host, Ben. Ben, how's it going?
You know what, Steve? I've been feeling pretty sick recently. I've been suffering from a lot of random symptoms, like breathing problems, lung cancer, and dying from 2-0. And I've just been feeling really unwell.
Well, all right, Ben. Maybe what we need to do is we need to have the good doctor take a look at you.
You know what? I think you're right. Let's make an appointment. Let's see. You know what? Nice. He's got availability today. Let's go to the doctor's office.
Let's go.
You're lucky. I had an open spot on my calendar today. What seems to be the problem?
Well, Doc, I got easy revenges to my left. Public Safety Devil Extermination Special Division 4 Aki Hayakawa's to my right. And it just feels like Aki kills me every time.
Well, in my office, nothing happens every time. Let's do the math and see if I can relieve you of some of your symptoms.
Well, that sounds great. So, this aside, we are joined today by the holder of a math doctorate, Dr. Jon, one of our locals, to examine the exact mathematics on how Aki kills people. Some of the latest Springfest results and the news from the spring conference that actually mattered. So, go ahead and shuffle your decks, tap or cut, and we'll get right into the refresh point with some breaking news. There was a spring conference.
Yeah, a lot of people are gonna be, or were mad. Like, Bushiroad baited and outsmarted us in a very rude way.
The spring conference kind of existed. We got some BCS 24-25 announcements, and we got some set announcements, right? It was like, I can't remember.
Yeah. It wasn't much.
What did we get?
Oshinoko?
We did get Oshinoko.
Yeah.
Right. The dancers at Tressa's were able to secure Oshinoko for English.
Yeah, which I think everybody was kind of anticipating. We didn't... The calendar is full. Like, it's just full. There's no more room for releases.
Yeah,
so,
true.
We did get the Oshi release, which I think was anticipated. I think that people were expecting to get Frieren, and we did not get Frieren. We will get Frieren. It's inevitable.
Surely.
It's inevitable.
Surely, guys, we'll get Frieren.
It maybe not anytime soon, but because, as I said, the calendar is just packed. But, yeah, we're going to get Frieren eventually.
We got Ruby. Ruby already had a release date, though, right? Like, it's just next month. Like,
oh yeah, it's happening.
Yeah,
we're getting the previews now.
Yeah,
and they look pretty promising.
Red looks pretty promising.
I don't know.
Red looks pretty good. We got this new Ruby finisher. She makes the old one not garbage, and then also has a lot of potential for restanding shenanigans and all sorts of stuff. We got Nino combo. And then all the other colors got cars.
I guess I'm the only person that likes the stuff that Green got, but maybe.
What is the green finisher though? Okay.
I don't know if it has. I'm not talking about for finishing. I'm talking about I like the 2-1 though. Somebody But
what does it pair with, Steve?
I mean, it's a 2-1 bar combo. What does it have to pair with? Draw 3. It's like draw 3 or whatever. Like I don't. What
events are we drawing with this, Steve?
It doesn't have to be, no, it's just like get 3 cards. It's similar to many other...
We're just nerfed? We just can't draw 4 cards anymore? My bad.
But also, the money counter is a real event.
Okay, alright. Okay.
In any case, yeah, I do accept that they've worded it very strangely so the Ramorous doesn't work with it. It's like... okay.
Yeah.
Like, that part of it's frustrating for sure. But, I don't know. Yeah, I think there'll be lots of stuff to like there.
For sure, yeah. Did set... I feel like... Is there going to be a set this month? What is releasing in May? What is... How much am I trolling here?
I believe we're gonna get the Bang Dream set, the reprint set that's coming out on the 17th.
That's right.
So if you didn't have your toilets, your something in the warehouses, your something in the warehouse.
Oh, we also get MyGo for.
Yeah. This is Bang Dream month.
Yeah, for the MyGo fans in the audience.
So MyGo is a new band. It doesn't have cards. These are its only cards. It's a trial deck.
They're not the worst cards either.
I haven't seen it, but what I will say is that, it'll be easier to build MyGo than it'll be to build any other band. So good news there.
Good news there all around. Butcher the Rock's gonna come out in in halfway through June as well. So I guess that's gonna be kind of like one of the next big releases before Ruby, and then we'll kind of see how that goes. There was also a special conference.
That's what I meant about when they got like
about 2 days before we recorded this. There was a special conference. It was truly special, and I'm happy for all of our international Weiss players in Hong Kong, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Indonesia.
They're eating.
Because they got Disney and Marvel.
Yeah, no, they're eating. Like, I think if you follow card games, I think you knew that this was not happening in North America. Ravensburger owns those licenses.
Yeah.
So there ain't no way they're gonna let Marvel be in Weiss Schwarz.
As it turns out, Lorcana is a card game.
Yes.
Yes.
So it doesn't have Marvel yet, but. I mean,
didn't Magic get Marvel or something? Or no, they got Star Wars.
They got Star Wars.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
they'll sell the license, just not to Bushiroad.
Yeah.
And in vice versa, by the way.
True.
My Lorcana cards are worth a ton of money in Japan because they can't get the licenses there.
Oh, really? They can't get the license first?
Because Bushiroad owns it.
Bushiroad got it first.
Correct. No, they have the opposite problem in Japan. It's wild.
They have the opposite job. That's okay. Banger.
So, John, are you gonna be picking up any of these sets that are coming out, or are we holding?
Well, I'm looking forward to Oshinoko.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that. Free Ren, which presumably will be announced eventually.
Yeah. No Bochi the Rock?
Actually, yeah, I will be picking up Bochi the Rock. I've been playing it in JP quite a bit. And I like how the deck plays. I've been playing a 3 climax split, 4 of the level 1 Bochi combo, which is just like Ichika from Quintuplets. I've been playing 3 of a level 2 Nijika combo, which is kind of like Muron at home. It generates hand and stock. You top check up to 4, add 1, and then twin drive, but don't pay for the twin drive, just trigger twice. And then one climax of a level 3 Rio, which is Nino. End of attack, pay pitch, burn 3, and on play Marine.
Oh, man.
Yeah, on play, sack, check 3, stock, hand, disc.
What I will say is that it takes a certain type of individual to play one of their finishing combo, and I'm not him.
But he is him.
The deck's consistent. You always find it. The Marine ability to just like go through the deck. It's a bar, so it never gets buried in your stock unless you barred it off something else. But then at that point, you pay it out, and it's in the waiting room to climax swap with.
Ichika players lied like this too. I just feel like I should let you know that they have a guy that tutors it, and I still won't do it. Like that ain't me. I can't. I need two of the finish. You know what? I'll sacrifice one of these level 2 combos. I'm pretty good at the game. I'll make that shit happen.
Yeah.
But right. That does seem vaguely reminiscent of actually the Kirito from Alicization. It's more than Mirren at home. It's actually Kirito at home, Where Kirito got to stock 2 from the waiting room, but it was on reverse, so maybe it's better. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, set seems very good. So I think, or at least it's A tier for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And now for what we were actually here for today, let's get to our doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
So Dr. Jon here is a math doctorate. And thus, whenever we have math questions around here, we ask him because he will be able to figure out the quickest way to get there.
Lots of us are smart. None of us are math smart.
None of us are math smart. So, one day last week, I was just like, well, screw it. I want to take a day and sit down and just actually know for sure, what are the odds that Aki kills me from any scenario.
The thing is that people will have a lot of confirmation bias surrounding Aki because it certainly does feel like he just beats you almost regardless of deck state. And if you've played a lot of competitive games against Aki, you will feel like you've died while you had lots of climaxes, no climaxes, low HP, high HP. And it doesn't feel like there are many good configurations to survive it.
And so I want to clear my bias.
Yeah.
Because surely, there's a way to survive it. And there's deck states that are good. And even I've been in them sometimes and just died anyway.
Yeah.
And like, I just want to know. And also previously, the available damage sim that somebody has, only had logic for 3 easy revenges, and it was inoptimal. So, if you like scried a climax before on like your last Aki after the Icy Tail, then the next one will still use up a scry. And then,
so it scries too much.
It scries too much, and I think there was another like condition to it that it wasn't like optimal quote unquote Aki decision making.
Right.
And then it was only 3 events. And it was like I wanted to know for like multiple different configurations and also 4 events because
that happens.
Most of the time it feels like that happens.
It certainly does feel like it happens a lot. I don't know if it's most of the time.
Maybe not most of the time, but
it's
like,
definitely like frequent.
Enough that I want to know.
For sure.
Yeah. And so Jon and I here's our problem statement. Given legitimately as optimal play as we can know, what are the odds that any configuration of Aki kills at any given deck state? And so to start, we actually had to take a moment and be like, okay, well, what is optimal Aki? Because there are some edge cases, right?
Yeah, there's lots of edge cases, and this question, like, we have to really dig into it to understand what statistics we want to look at, what is optimal, what are reasonable deck states, and climax spreads, and there's a lot of numbers to work through.
Yeah, I would think that trying to get... Because you can guess at what you think the deck states will be, but in my opinion, I think there are 2 deck states that are core to this statement. One is your Aki hits level 3 before you do, and so dealing with a more compressed deck, and then Aki hits 3 after you, dealing with a less compressed deck state. Basically, like, the difference between 6 or 8 stock and like 0 to 2 stock, because most decks, if they hit 3, they're gonna cash out completely, because, or as much as completely as their finisher allows, because at the end of the day, there's no prizes for second in Weiss, and in the current meta, if you hit 3, if your opponent's not 3, if they're even a little bit close, you're gonna go for it. And so I think that those are the 2 deck states I'm most interested in. I am sure there is a curve once we draw this thing that where we can minimize Aki's value to the absolute maximum. I just don't know that those are real game states that we can actually achieve.
Yeah, for sure. And so, we sat down and we started doing some Python scripting. Yay! The way that it ended up working out, in like fairly short so that we can kind of talk about the actual odds and then like other stuff about the results, is that we ended up basically making functions to simulate damage.
Yeah.
Mill.
Yeah.
Scrying.
Yeah.
Icy tail.
Right.
You know, all this kind of stuff. And essentially, we have game states that are transitionable to, and every game state has like all these variables that are like, you know, total amount of cards in the deck, climaxes in the deck, waiting room, climaxes in waiting room, level parameters, and then also, crucially, the bottom card of the deck. Because we don't need to know the fucking order of anything else, because we're gonna do the odds for whatever it is
one at a
anyway.
time, yeah.
But if we know the bottom card of the deck, that does change things.
Right, of course.
Yeah. And so with all of that,
so we have like a big question in the room, right?
yeah.
Doc, what's our prognosis? Are we gonna live?
It depends on your compression and other variables.
All right.
So we have run examples where the odds of Aki killing you is less than 40%, and in other cases, it's greater than 75%.
All right. So what's our most consistent metric at reducing the probability of dying? Is it just being lower HP?
Well, yeah. Yeah, clearly being being at less damage, you have greater chance of living. That's straightforward. If you have more, so here's an interesting one, because Aki burns if he hits climaxes.
Right.
So there's this fear that being more compressed might actually feed into Aki killing me.
Right.
So let me pick out some examples here. So, okay, if we're 2-4, and we're staring down triple Aki with 4 revenges, and our deck is 2 climax, 2 and 12.
Okay, so very low compression.
Very low compression. We're only 2-4, so the odds of dying is about 46%.
Okay, so there is some logic in the tactical decompress, we'll say, like not trying to solve necessarily a somewhat decompressed deck as long as our damage is relatively low.
Now,
But not exactly, right? Because
yeah,
if we look, because again, we look at the same scenario, 3 climaxes in deck, the odds go down by like 6%, regardless of the icy tail. So even though you think it's like, oh, well, if I tactical decompress a little bit, maybe, you know, the icy tail won't hit as many climaxes. And then, but the thing is, realistically, what does it matter to live Aki? We block the vanillas.
Right.
How do we increase our chance of blocking the vanillas?
Having more climax.
Having more climaxes. Congratulations, we did it.
Right.
So even in this same deck state of 2-4, triple Aki, 4 revenges, also assuming a 3-3-3 swing, and with 3 and 12 instead of 2 and 12, the odds go down to 39% chance of kill
Okay.
from 46.
Right. But is there... All right. Let's say for a moment we're in the worst case scenario, okay?
Yeah.
We did our finisher.
Yeah.
We've refreshed the deck.
Right.
We're at 3-0.
We're at 3-0.
What is our best state to live from 3-0? Is there any good above, like, sub 50% state?
Is there, or we would be asking for a below 50%.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We
like,
want below 50% kill. Is there anything? Or is 3-0 just doomed?
I think 3-0 is legitimately doomed. So for an example, right? So we have a state here that's 8 climaxes in 25.
Very good compression.
You are a 60% chance to die at triple Aki for revenge. From 3-0. 3-0 is pretty deadly. And you might think, and on that, like, on the like tactical decompress angle, just in case you're curious, 5 and 25 instead, 76%.
Okay.
Just in case you wanted to know.
So
3-0 is pretty lethal. Like,
okay.
a lot.
So that's important information, though, right? Because that makes our gameplay more informed. How much does the percentage go down? Compression neutral, right? Let's say we're at 2.5 instead of 3.0, and we have that 8 and 25 compression. How much does it go down?
Do we have that number like readily available?
We have something close. From 8 and 25.
Yeah.
If you're 3-0,
Yeah.
odds of dying is 60%.
Right.
But if you're 2-4, the odds of dying is only 24%.
Okay, so that's huge.
25%.
Right,
yeah.
so that's
huge difference.
Huge drop.
Massive difference.
So what we're learning here is let's say we're more decompressed. Let's call it like we're at 2.4, but we're more decompressed. Like let's say 5 and 25.
Okay, if we're 2-4,
Yeah.
and 5 and 25, 40% chance of dying.
Okay, so this is really good data because what this is informing a strategy, right? So I will tell you for sure after playing enough Weiss Schwarz that these type of numbers are the type of thing that you wish you didn't know once you know them. Because as the good doctor will inform you, it's a case-by-case basis and single samples are prone to high variance. Would you agree?
I would agree.
So this 40% number may not matter in a very small sample size, but the takeaway here needs to be, or in my opinion, the takeaway here is if you're confronted with the opportunity to go up and try to win, or go down and try to live, if you don't think that your finisher has good probability to beat them from 3-0, you should heal down. Because healing down looks really profitable against Aki.
No, unironically, yes. Like, and there's been so many games recently where I've just accepted it.
Yeah.
I'll just be like,
I'm going for it. Yeah.
Just go to 3.
Yep.
Just try.
Yep.
Just try. But like, 3-0 is horrifying.
Yeah, even the best case scenario, which is like 1 and 3 compression, which is not common in most Weiss Schwarz game states, I would say that 8 and 30 is probably like more realistic, and your chance of living is just bad. Like 2/3 of the time you're just dead. So
yeah,
it's and the difference between like just a couple damage points is really significant. So
I didn't realize how significant.
Yeah,
it
that's
would
the
be.
yeah. That
I'll
problem
say
is
it
that knowledge
much.
is yeah. So like, we're probably not gonna have to deal with this. We hope we don't have to deal with this for very much longer. But for as long as we do have to deal with it, this is really salient for your strategy in the mid game, especially if you're staring at 2.5 and thinking about clocking.
I'm gonna be deadly honest. Like, we saw this, and I was like, maybe I need to play a second healer.
That's the thing,
I was
right?
like, maybe I just need to play a second healer. Shit. Fuck.
That's the thing, is that I've leaned all of my decks in the other direction.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Where I'm just like, oh, okay, if you're going to be deadly finishing, I'm going to be even deadlier finishing, or if possible, or just accelerating the game. Like, I want to accelerate the game in a way that pushes both of us in the same direction, but that's not a winning strategy against Aki. How much does Easy Revenge play into this? Like, what's the difference in 4 Easy Revenge versus 3 Easy Revenge?
Yeah, so I had those numbers, but they're not in front of me at the moment. I can.
Yeah. Do you want to just?
Let me go grab those real quick.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious.
The good doctor will pull up our results, but they do matter for sure.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, because like we aren't just digging into this data for the purposes of surviving Aki, right? We also want to dig into some of this data for the players that are going to eventually be playing this post nerf. Because
right.
post-nerf, Aki is still being played in Japan.
Yeah.
And so
that samurai sword, man.
Right. And you only have 2 of them, right? And so the
Is that I thought the limit was double Aki.
It's limit 2 Aki.
Okay, that's right.
That's what I mean. You only have 2 Aki. Mm-hmm. And so I assume that when you have 2 Aki, that you're gonna obviously your spike off kill point is gonna be much lower.
Yeah, and
but
also the way that we constructed like this quote unquote like simulator calculator is that order matters, right?
Of course.
For the swings, so it actually takes a lot. It takes a lot longer to like calculate the different like 2 Aki permutations.
Yeah. Because one of them isn't Aki.
Exactly.
And so like you have to do a whole bunch of extra math. But we're not gonna dig into every possible mathematical configuration. But it is important to think about because the other thing that they changed as part of the restrict for Chainsaw Man is the ease at which one can acquire easy revenges.
Exactly, because you restrict either the Bonder or the Himeno combo.
Right.
So if you keep with the old advantage engine, then you don't get the Bonder.
Right, which is going to naturally lead to a more difficult time acquiring easy revenges.
And then even if you keep the Bonder in play, Samurai Sword, as an example, Samurai Sword doesn't grab easy revenge.
Right.
So, you know, as much as it's like, it might seem like that's just a nice to have, that Himeno can also grab easy revenge, like these little things matter in Weiss.
And it's kind of that's why I'm curious about the difference between 3 easy revenges and 4 easy revenges, because the likelihood of less easy revenges feels greater over time.
Right.
Because like once we have the restrict in play, I assume if you're gonna want 4 easy revenges, you can't play the Himeno Zero combo. You can't. Because the Bonder is a much more consistent mathematical outcome for producing easy revenges in hand. It's just, you just do it. You pitch a card and you just do it.
Yeah.
And so you'll have 2 ways to get easy revenges. You'll have the Bonder and you'll have raw draw. Like, we're raw drawing 3 cards a turn. Like, sometimes you'll just draw it. Sure.
Just generic raw draw. Yeah.
And so, like, because we're raw drawing 3 cards a turn on top of tutoring every once in a while, like, 3 easy revenges feels very normal.
Yeah. That feels like the normal scenario at that point.
I think 4 easy revenges will take work.
Right.
And so it'll be interesting to know how much 3 easy revenges simplifies things or complicates things.
Wow, man, that's horrifying. What do you?
Okay, so
man,
We just got the numbers in.
all right. What's the prognosis, Doc? Are we dead?
Okay, so if they have less easy revenge, it is easier for you to survive, as you would imagine.
God, I hope so.
Let's look at a case where we hold on.
So we only lost a few percentage points, basically.
like we shoved off like 2 or 3 off the top across the board, like
Hold
for
on.
the most part. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, my file isn't updating on.
I know where. You want to?
Yeah. Okay. Let me scoot over here. All right. So if we have, going back to the 4 revenge case.
Right.
So like we have a fresh deck. We're 8 and 30. Let me see. Where's the? Okay, 8 and 30. The odds of dying from 3-0 is 65%. This is 8 and 30.
Okay.
4 revenges. If they only have 3 revenges, the odds decrease from 65 to 60.
Okay, so we lose a decent amount of percentage every easy revenge that's missed. So,
And it's like a good enough amount.
5%'s not nothing.
Yeah,
what
for
about
sure.
what about in our decompressed scenarios? What is that? Does it make as big of a difference in those scenarios?
Yeah, so for our decompressed scenarios here, it looks like 4 revenge in 5 and 30 was already like 79%. You're just so dead.
Right.
We lose an easy revenge, it goes down to 69%.
So that's 10%.
That is a 10% difference, which, you know, it's still 70%, but not for nothing. It's not 80.
So again, this is a really nice takeaway for people playing Chainsaw Man, because I think a lot of times I undersold the value of revenge number 4, and a lot of times I would settle for 3. Like, I had the opportunity to destroy more hand to make it happen, right? To try and get 4. And a lot of times I would opt not to. And I would opt for compression instead.
Now, this matters.
And, like, especially in decompressed states, it's such a huge difference. So, what if we're, like, if they're 2-4, what's the drop there?
Yeah, all right. So we've got it pulled up. So 2-4, what's it? 2-4, 8 and 30 is 30%.
30% to kill?
30% to kill.
Okay.
And 2-4, 8 and 30, 3 revenge is like a 28%.
Okay.
Right.
So not as big. The difference becomes huge as their compression goes down. Like it becomes much more important to scry off the dead cards so that you can hit more.
Yeah.
That which makes sense to me, like, mathematically, but I didn't think it would be this big. It's
massive. I mean, but it's only in some cases, right? So even in like a similar case of 5 and 25, right, it goes from 76 only down to 73.
Right. Because at 5 and 25 from 3-0, you're already like in significant vanilla danger. You're below the vanilla threshold at that point, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
1 in 5 climaxes means that like vanillas for 3 are mathematically decent to hit, and so anything.
But
anything
even with the 2 and 4, it goes from like 40 to 37.
Yeah. So again, the most consistent predictor of surviving this stuff is being lower. You want to be...
I mean, honestly, it almost feels like, you know, sometimes it almost feels like we wasted our time a little bit in the sense that it was very intuitive all along. The more health you have and the more compression you have, as is generally the case in the game of Weiss Schwarz, the better chance you'll live.
Right, but the thing is that what was learned here is critical. The difference between, like, compressive states is not nearly as significant as just the difference in HP.
Yeah.
And so if your choice is to sacrifice some compression so that you can have more HP or less damage, you should. 100% of the time. Like, there's almost no way that translating 2 cards is going to be less valuable than 1 more damage. Like, 1 more damage is really significant here. Though, I will say, one of the things that's probably not accounted for in the model here is the amount of deck destruction that Aki does will frequently lead to...
No, that definitely is...
refresh penalties?
Yeah, correct. That's all counted in.
Oh, okay.
Refresh is counted in. Like, everything's counted for in general. Like, of, like, general Weiss mechanics. Like, the things that we're missing is, like, some edge cases.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so some of the limitations behind this model. We coded Aki to play greedy. Aki only cares about dealing the most damage he can.
Right.
He doesn't care if there's another Aki attacking after him. We haven't even thought about side attacks or anything like that. Okay, so there are scenarios, though, where you only need 3 damage to kill the opponent, so he needs his vanilla swing to stick. But if there's still a climax in the opponent's deck, like, let's say the opponent has a 7-card deck. Hold on, I wrote an example somewhere. Well, whatever it is. The point is, he will mill if there's a climax, he will mill to try to get the ping 1.
Right.
Even if it then...
It's detrimental.
Makes the stick hard. Because it's going to make the vanilla swing harder. Like, they'll go into if the deck's small enough, you can scry 4, you don't see a climax, then you icy 4, you maybe you hit the climax, but now your vanilla swing goes into a fresh deck.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I'll say is that obviously accounting for all the mathematical edge cases and something like this is extremely hard. And for like a solid 1.5 days of effort, you guys did an absolutely tremendous job. And I think that the information that this provides is very.
Hey, I'll go to bat for the doctor real quick though. This was like a good 4 or 5 days of effort.
Oh, okay. I thought, I wasn't kept updated with the.
That's valid.
With the
That's
timeline.
valid. Yeah,
but this is really important information for deck construction. I think early play healing kind of fell a little bit to the wayside in a lot of builds because it felt like the cases where it would produce value became more edge. So, I'll take my Worlds deck as an example. The amount of times that I played my early play healer is a very small number. Even in practice games leading up to Worlds, and I think even at Worlds, I might have played it once or twice in the entire tournament. Because in most situations, I prioritized board removal or board presence or hand safety, we'll say. Well, that's what we'll actually call it. I prioritized the Noel in circumstances where I felt like I had the resources to buy a level 3 at level 2. Because the issue was that my use cases demanded more hand safety. Because the finisher for Hololive is more hand intensive than the finisher for a lot of other decks. So, for me, the biggest takeaway for this is if your finisher is not going to be impacted by your healing, you should heal in every opportunity where you get a chance. Because the biggest driver of whether this finisher will defeat you, much more than compression, is how low you are. And that makes sense, logically, if you sit down and think about it. But I think a lot of times compression will get into the weeds where you start to think about blocking and the math around blocking and whether there is a way to just block this thing down. And the reality is that in most deck states, the answer is no. No, you cannot block this down. So, not from 3-0. And so,
not from 3-0.
And so what you should do is do...
Or at the very least, it's not in your fucking favor.
Yeah. If you do block down, it's luck. And so what you should do in every chance that you get the opportunity is reduce the amount of damage you have total under any circumstance.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's really good information. It's really and then this is also good information for people playing Aki at the value of every single easy revenge you add. Especially in non-compressive deck states, the multiplicative value that you gain is obscene. So if you want to win, get 4 easy revenges. If you don't want to die to easy revenge, be at 2-4.
Be at 2-4.
So not for nothing, but that kind of is the conclusion. But that also means that rushing your opponent is a value strategy against Aki. So if you're already at 2-4 or less, and you have the opportunity to really clobber them, you see them do a bunch of decompressive or trigger activities where it looks like you will be able to hit hard, but maybe you're afraid to hit hard because you don't want to push them to 3 and die to Aki.
Nah, fuck them.
Yeah, you do it.
Yeah.
You do it.
I'm actually not so sure, though, because in this metagame, the finishers are so powerful. I think there is merit, if you have a high-power finisher, to not hit Aki to 3.
Yeah,
because you still have 40% chance of dying. I don't know.
I don't think. I don't think I agree because there aren't that many really, really good finishers in the game. There's some, but
if you're
Aki and Gura are head and shoulders above everyone else in this sort of race to kill somebody from 2-4 or 2-5. I wouldn't trust any other finisher from that state.
I trust Sokka.
Yeah, true. No, I forgot about Sokka. Yeah. So Sokka is the other one, right? He has more reach than anyone, or that set has more reach than anyone, in terms of I think mathematical outcomes, best possible mathematical outcomes, because the amount of packets that a truly optimized Sokka board can produce is frankly obscene and higher than anybody else's, absent RNG, because Aki's packets are not certain, whereas Sokka's packets are certain, and he is the most dangerous finisher.
You get a little uncertainty with standby being able to cheese out even more Sokkas.
Yeah.
And then also there's at least counterplay to reverse denial. but like that's pretty limited.
Yeah, I actually think the best counterplay to Sokka is to memory counter them early in the game so that they leave the game. And then, and then they don't come back because I don't. The randomness from standby is fake because their climax swapper has shuffled 2, and I promise you, if they want standbys, they will just shuffle 2 standbys in with the 2/1, and they will get the standbys. Like the standbys, if the deck is small and they can make it small for free with a guy that's just like mill 3 and do some stuff.
No, that's a double-edged sword because if you mill out, or if you don't have enough costless characters
That's
in
the
your
other
deck,
thing, right? You gotta,
it can't be too small.
Yeah. There is some finagling, but the best Avatar players are very good at creating those kind of game states late game, where it's like this is 10 cards and what's in it is a bunch of zeros and standbys and like 2 Sokkas, and you're like, okay, well, Sokka on board, Sokka's in the deck, we can loop them over each other, and here comes 10 packets, and hope you live. P.S. You won't. So the actual win case against Sokka is to just not be there, and don't let Azula mess with the math of creating more packets by reversing you.
Yeah, after all the work I put in Taki, I don't know if I want to calculate odds of dying to Sokka.
I think
that has more variables because of how many times it can proc. And
No, the problem with Sokka is that now we have to actually simulate our deck, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Because with Aki, we kind of shortcutted it. Because you're like, we'll just put in whatever the soul count is for each Aki.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, if you decided to side there, then, yeah, whatever. Like, there's the odds.
You'd have to manually change the soul counts. Yeah.
But with Atla, well, now you need
now
a
we have
second
triggers.
deck. Now we have a second deck, motherfucker.
yeah, for Aki, we essentially said, okay, we used Future Devil, so we know our 3 triggers.
Exactly.
That makes perfect sense, though, because in a lot of situations you would know. And so if you wanted to, like, finagle it manually, you could. But simulating trigger, it was the exact same thing I commented as we were walking up, is that I was like, I wonder, because the current damage simulator is pretty decent for Gura, but it has to make some assumptions about how often Gura will hit. The mill. And so if you wanted a true mathematical model for Gura, you would need to do some math on triggers in the deck and your probability of landing them.
Yeah. Knowing the deck composition, different ratios of trigger counts to non-trigger counts would play a role in that.
Yeah, and so going into Worlds and playing at Worlds and playing Gura will hone your ability to make sure you are acutely aware of the deck composition, because it's such a big deal. Like the chance of it whiffing you have to know. And so I felt very locked in during Worlds about the math of the game. And there were a number of times where I was like, it's gonna just work. Like there's 2 zeros in here, it's gonna just work. And it did. And so
when you did your last side attack, I smiled because I'm like, this man knows.
The math supported it. I was like, we need 2 triggers and 3, and we're playing Gura. Yeah.
Yes.
Send it. Yeah. It was one of those things where it was like, a couple people messaged me about that. They're like, that was an absolutely insane side attack. I was like, it really wasn't. If you play enough Gura, you know, you're just like, of course it's gonna work. It's 2 and 3. And so, yeah, no, it was this is a math game at its core, and the more you play it, the more you realize like how much more wins you will get by making informed plays. It won't be all the time, because the game does desire drama, as we always say. But you will find yourself in better situations more often if you stop to think about the math of the game and how it relates to your deck. Because those decisions have to be made in advance in Weiss Schwarz. You don't get to react to your opponent immediately. You only get to react to your opponent after their entire turn's complete. So you need to plan ahead. And so planning ahead mathematically can and frequently does lead to better results over time. In one tournament, probably not, right? Your bad stuff happens to good players all the time. But the trick is to understand the why of it so that in the future when you see a setup like that, you can make the same sorts of decisions, or you make the decisions that are appropriate for the time.
For sure. And after seeing the doctor today, I will say I am definitely going to attempt to push myself at level 2 into Chainsaw Man less. Significantly.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is that you have to keep an eye on their damage and your damage based on your finisher.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are, well, number one, as we impromptu announced last time, guess what, boys? We got a blog. Woo! Shout out to our supporters, as always, for generously supporting us every single month, and all of our other ambitious tech commissioners, and, you know, purchasers of other merch asides, which you can check out at our coffee page at ko-fi.com/refreshpointws. And because of that, we have a nice little domain for it. It's refreshpointws.blog. And that's where we're going to be putting up a bunch of different blog posts. The level 2 one that I mentioned earlier, the How You Lost by Steve, and very impromptu, but probably the first one before all of that is going to be a write-up of this with Jon and I. So keep an eye out for that if you want the full write-up on like bunch of different Aki stats, bunch of different methodologies, you know, like how optimal Aki is determined, the edge cases that may or may not be covered, all that stuff. Check out our blog later.
I think a big thing that I'm looking forward to, and I know it would be very hard, but I would love you both tremendously if you did it. I would love to see the before and after of the 2 Aki versus 3 Aki, only because I want to know that people always assume whenever Restrict comes down, they assume that the deck is just dead. And sometimes it is. In that case of Alice, it was. But yeah. But I'm curious to know, because Aki is a lot easier to control in terms of you could get 2 Aki every single game, in my opinion. I don't think there's anywhere it can go outside of the clock that it wouldn't be reachable, and you would have the extra stock to even fish the first cards of the clock to make it happen. So I believe that 2 Aki is achievable 90% of the time. I would love to know the difference between 2 Aki and 3 Aki in these setups. Obviously, the math much harder. You have to start accounting for like the order of attack and things like that. But well, hypothetically, right? Because technically, you can't know whether the order will matter or not. But the math changes because it's not always Aki attacking, so you have to the scrying matter. Anyway, I know it's hard.
With enough analysis, we could determine the most optimal attack order.
Yeah, and
that's a project.
So
yeah, true.
Even without that, I would love to know the difference, just high level between 2 Aki and 3 Aki, just at the 4 Easy Revenge level, because I assume without 4 Easy Revenge is going to.
Yeah, I can run those in like 5 minutes.
Okay, well, we may have that may be part of the blog post, just as like a bolt.
I mean, if you can really do it in 5 minutes.
No.
I mean,
no.
I mean, you're here. I'm here. We're here at the doctor's office.
That's true.
We might as well ask.
All right.
While we're here, and if it's a pressing question,
all right,
we can tangent a little bit. We can talk about some other stuff.
Let's talk about Vancouver.
We're gonna transition now a little bit. We'll come back to our doctor's appointment momentarily, but
we'll get our final prescription for what we can do with Aki after the restrictions.
Sounds good. And before that, let's go into the spike corner once again. Here's Vancouver. Wow, the winner was Canada Marine, Standby Miron, and Himinowaki.
Did everyone forget that Standby Miron was good?
That's crazy.
I'm so...
no, by the way. Everybody in Ontario, California remembered that Slime was good.
It's wild how
like everybody else, hasn't really had it.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Ben. I'm getting terrified. I'm getting terrified that somehow Slime is gonna skirt out the back door. And they're not gonna get restricted. And if they don't, I'll lose my whole mind. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. There's no way, right?
Surely.
People have to be aware that this it's been good for so long. No. Anyway, Great job.
I mean, it's the only standby Muron in the top 8.
Yeah, that means it's balanced. Guys, there's only one top Azula. It's gotta be balanced. This is what's gonna happen to me. This is what's gonna happen to me. They're gonna restrict Aki and Gura, and they're gonna let these other 2 criminals skate out the back door. And then instead of seeing Aki in every single finisher, it's gonna be top 8, slime, Azula, slime, Azula, and you're just gonna, yeah. I hate it here, man.
Yeah.
All right. Turns out Himeno Aki's still with us, still good.
How many this time? 6?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's 6 and 8 every event.
Oh my god.
What I will say here is apparently people have in Canada are super standby heavy, man. We got a lot of standby decks here.
Oh yeah.
Like we got standby Hololive,
standby Hololive,
MTI, standby 8 standby TSK got top 8.
Yeah.
So like the boys and girls in Vancouver are standby gamers because there's a lot of standby decks here. So we have 2 Oski Polka decks, a Polka Nene deck, and then MTI 8 standby, Dao Choi standby, TSK 8 standby. Just a lot of standby.
Yeah, all the homies in Vancouver standby for sure.
8 bar Mother's Rosario in second. Props. I would love to know your win-loss. If you're listening to this podcast, comment what your win-loss was, because I'm here to tell you I tried this thing and the finishing stack is cursed. The finishing stack is absolutely cursed. This is a Yuna deck, by the way. So, yeah. We're talking about Yuna Mother's Rosario. So this is the anniversary Mother's Rosario combo. So check 5, add 1 into Yuna, into the fistful of mediocre finishers that come from Asuna. But all of them requiring you to mill a whole bunch of cards out of your deck. So you actually just die if you're like 3-5 or 3-6 from milling yourself to death. But yeah, otherwise you just win.
Yeah.
So good news there. We got our cursory 1 Overlord deck in top 4 every single event.
hey, we got 2 in top 8.
Yeah, but one makes
sense. And Overlord is still a good enough deck.
I think it's very good. And Overlord, here's the thing. Overlord is going to be the big winner out of and
out of any ban list, really.
Any ban list, and I think Atla will probably skirt out the back door and not get restricted. Those 2 decks will be the big winners as soon as the restrict comes down.
Like especially when Shuna leaves, it just means that there's nobody that gets a free board into Overlord anymore.
No.
So
you're gonna get your whole board blown up. Sorry, Guilty Gear gets to save 2 slots.
Oh boy.
Pick 2 important guys.
Yeah, the 2 slots that are gonna get killed by the Eins, and then probably killed by the Yuri that they played with the Eins.
Yeah, I mean, that maid does work, but...
Well, I guess if you were playing Gold Lewis, you get to keep 2. Probably.
No.
Copium.
Yeah. The thing is,
keep 1.
one of the Eins is, I mean, you're gonna live.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure Overlord players are salivating at the next ban list because their deck will have no more strictly awful matchups.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Although the funniest part would be if they just hit that too, just for fun. They're just like,
right to the Shadow Realm.
Just send all of them down.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't think it would happen, but it would be funny.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that like the meta becomes very weird if you do
yeah.
that. But anyway, Spy Overlord and Quince and Atla are all poised to be ready to reassert their Spy.
I mean, Spy is kind of like
Spy's right there,
kind of existing anyway.
Yeah,
arguably.
But it'll get absolutely a big step up. And
that's true. That's
and
true.
Guilty Gear Strive as well. I think those decks, all the decks that are in A tier right now, are just chomping at the bit for the next big ban list pass because they're gonna get to take their shot at the top.
For sure.
We also had Manila in between our last podcast, and what I love about looking at any region that has restricted title outcomes is how absolutely wild the top 8 list.
Licorice Recoil winner! Woo!
That deck's not bad. It's not.
Licorice Recoil, what a tournament!
It's not peak meta. It's not
Banger.
peak meta. But it's not the worst thing there is.
No, this is definitely like one of the most reasonable Rico decks that like.
Yeah, it's the
that-
swimsuit
that you
finishers,
see.
right?
Yeah.
Door pants.
Yeah. Or it's pants door.
Pants door.
Pants door. Because I see you see 8 pants because you want to try to use like the event that like searches doors
Sure.
for joy. But like, let's be real, pants is pretty good. And then the door finisher is pretty good. And this pants combo says, oh no, this is a different one. Ooh, which one's you? Okay, so on attack, ditch a level 0 or lower card in your hand. And then, if you have 5 or less stock, look it up to 5, choose 2 characters, and then put them into your hand. So this is different from the other one that I was thinking of, which was 2 SIGs, and then you get to just rearrange the top 2 and never trigger if you don't want to, which still a good combo. But this one, highly interesting. You get a lot of deck speed for this.
Yeah, you get 2 demerits here, right? We have our opponent gets to have cheap encores, and we have to have 5 or less stock, which is probably fine in most level 1 game states, I would think. People, the meta right now is very heavy on stock expenditure going into level 1, so I don't see that as a real requirement. The power on this thing is a little sad.
It's a 5/5,
So we're
6/5
just
swinging.
Amelia.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. Triple mill 5 will get your deck right as rain. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that'll fix a deck state.
So
Boom.
very cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
We get we have a bunch of the usual suspects here in top 3.
Yeah.
Then when you get to top 4, we got our 4th place deck here.
Yeah.
This is the wildest Fate deck I've ever seen in a top 4.
Yeah, it is.
It's absolutely wild. So, for context, we don't really have a finisher here. we have
No,
we have on reverse burn one
there's your
at
finisher.
at level 2.
At level 2. So you just do it every turn starting from level 2. And
Right.
then you play the Musashi, Steve.
Yep.
What's there to be curious about?
And so we could get this level 2 on deck slightly faster if we manage to land this level 1. So this level 1 is a 4/5 and on act 6k, and it's a stock soul. And on reverse, we get to fake standby by grabbing a guy from the waiting room and standbying them. So our goal here is to pseudo standby this 2/2, I assume.
Right.
And then it's 9/5, but doesn't have encore, so you best be careful. And
We have a Leaf Punch.
we have 4 of them.
Yeah.
We're not kidding around.
Yeah. We also have assists for like 500 power here and there. You know, petty assists. that
Yeah,
exist.
of course. And so we want to get this 2/2 on deck ASAP Rocky and then start hammering. We have a 1/0 support for the Rin that taps to give 1,000, so that'll get it up to 7k, 7/5. So pretty big. Probably can reverse most ones with that card on board. Which is, I assume, why there's 3 of it. There's also, we have the Magi, which is 500 to all, and then we can do some cool stuff. But this deck is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
I have never seen I haven't seen a door stock soul Fate deck in the top of anything for a hot minute. That is for sure.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you. Also, the Azer Lane deck that's part of this team, highly non-standard sort of Azer Lane deck. We have door pants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or pants door, excuse me. And so this is
and
the,
also, it's not it's not Bismarck door.
no, it's not Bismarck door.
It is Friedrich.
It's Friedrich door.
the Gross. And
So-
Friedrich says we need our like obscene experience requirement. Yeah. On attack, you get to pick one. Either shuffle back 3 and get 3k, or pay 2 to burn 4.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's both most of the time, where you do some of the shuffle-ins and then you just absolutely slam them with the burn 4.
Yeah, you let the burn 4 rip.
Also, this pants combo is not the pants combo I would typically see being run in Azur Lane. This is the San Diego combo, which is a pitch 1 on reverse to search 2. Salvage 2. And it gets 1,000 power cross turn. So
it gives one of your characters power till end of turn.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. So you can make the other reverses easier if you get the first one.
This thing is pretty thick already, 8k on offense, which is hard to not get a reverse off. So good news all around there.
And the Baltimore helps facilitate, more power as well. So Baltimore gives 1,000 on attack, the one that's discard to check top, salvage level.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of ways to kind of get some power going here.
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of ancillary level 3s, as is typical to many Azur Lane builds. We've got Kronstadt and Rune and Ager. We have a whole bunch of so we have Minus Souls and Fumio and Restanding and a bunch of plays that we can make happen.
We got a bunch of stuff going.
So they also have a little hand-on core character that they can use with Kronstadt. So that also manages to give you a tiny little deck fixing whenever you reverse something with Pants Out. So it kind of works with your 1-0 combo. So really salient game plan. I got no problems here. I don't think I've ever seen a deck built quite like this one. So congratulations. Very well played. Unfortunately, no region can escape Hime no Aki, so Hime no Aki literally in every team but 2. So
yeah, and shout outs to the 2-soul Review Starlight player who played the 2-soul Claudine combo with the door. And for your context, Steve, here's what the 2-soul combo says. Search the one combo that it combos with.
Yeah.
Search or salvage for a different 1-0. What does the other 1-0 say? Well, the other 1-0 says, on play, bottom clock swap with waiting room for whatever that's worth.
Sure.
Then change. Whenever, at the beginning of your climax phase, change into the 1 combo in waiting room.
Oh, cool.
So, if we just keep getting the 2-soul, and we don't refresh the deck and lose all of our 1 combos back into the deck.
Right. We just loop this bad boy.
Just loop this bad boy.
Yep.
How do you get your actual pieces?
I assume
you'll have to just get them at some point. And we have an event that rests 2 characters to check up to 5 for a card with soul icon.
I mean,
so we can get the 2-soul climax.
Yep.
We can get 3 2s.
Yep.
We can get 2 1s.
Yep. I see we're also running the event that searches the door.
Yeah, salvages. But yes.
Salvage.
Yeah.
So we have all the climax getting that we can have.
And we even have the set 2 promo that's clock self, check 3, add 1. Yeah.
Biken on it's Biken clone.
Yeah.
Or I guess Biken's its clone.
Yeah.
It's probably older.
Yeah. And also we have 2 climax swappers. This deck will get, hopefully,
we're getting the
right climax.
We're getting the 2-soul.
Yeah. Ideally, we'll get the 2-soul. And then we just jam a slam.
Not super crazy about the blue count. It's a little low.
It's a little low.
Low. The chance of us getting that event off at level 1 feels questionable.
Yeah, we need there's only 3 on Death Kotsky.
There's 11 total blue cards, which
2 of the blue finisher, and then 2 of the stock swap.
3 of them are the event itself.
Exactly. So it's kind of tricky to manage.
We could have used a couple more blue cards, but overall, not bad.
But honestly,
everyone has an equal chance to shine. That's a great deck name.
That is a great deck name. Everyone has an equal chance to shine. Not for nothing. After doing the math a little bit and discussing it, this deck does look a little salient because
it's a little spicy.
Because you push the damage, and as we now really know, I mean, it's harder for Aki to kill you if you're at 2-4. So if you just send them to level 3.
As is typical with most 2-soul decks, this suffers from the exact same problem of very poor deck speed and if you get the wrong things to happen, like your opponent just blocks you down, or you trigger too much, like it'll be you that actually gets clobbered, not them.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it does have a lot more ways to manage it, though. We have an Akatsuki that mills 5. And if we get blue, we have the event that mills 5.
That's, no, we have to have the event. It's not optional. Like,
Yeah.
Our level 1 combo doesn't move any cards.
True.
Like, we're going to need that event every game. Now, you have the giraffe, which is kind of like Cassandra, where you're like, I don't want this information. Like, this is cursed information.
Right. Because you get to look at 3, but you don't get to do anything about it.
No, you're just staring at it like, I mean, not for nothing, maybe you could brainstorm or something, but like...
Yeah. No. I will say, it's actually, there have been so many games where I'll be like, I'm gonna brainstorm this turn, right? Giraffe, 3 clean.
Nope.
Nah. That's 3 clean chairs. I don't avoid that.
Weiss players, I think, I think Weiss players may undersell the value of having that knowledge, like, prior to the attack step. Like, everybody knows that it's good to get check triggers on attack. Like, we love that, but it's rare in the game. But it's also very rare in the game to have this much scrying. One of the things that always strikes me when I face Review Starlight, and I have to play against Review Starlight more than anyone in the universe, probably. But, it's striking to me how often they're looking at cards from the top of their deck. And I'm just like, or the top of my deck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, information is truly the sharpest sword in Weiss Schwarz, where you're just like the amount of times Ben and I have been playing and he's like, hit for 3. I attack for 3, it hits. And I'm
You're
like,
not wrong, too.
I'm like, you could have been cool about that for a minute there if you wanted.
The craziest thing I've seen this man do with Review Starlight. He looked at the top 3 cards of my deck, and he's like, okay, stock swap? There go 3 climaxes.
Yeah, no, you're just like, I'm not sure what I did to deserve this. And there's just no world in which this play is normal. But it turns out that the circumstances are really apt here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get destroyed because of it.
It turns out the math for, like, killing people becomes a lot easier when you know the 3 sticks on top.
Yeah, no, that 2-1, highly underrated in my opinion. Like, just a very strong card.
Yeah, dude.
Like, gaining knowledge from the top of your opponent's deck is crazy strong.
And not for nothing, cards getting 1k power on play with this card on board is pretty nice. Like, for the most part, it makes deconstructing Kishibe a lot easier because your, like, 8k guy will now be a 9k guy, and, like, a climax makes it, with the climax, it's like a 9k guy. Any other power pump gets us to kill triple Kishibe anyway. Any other, like, level 2 or higher card becomes, like, more belligerent.
The other thing is that when you're dealing with the type of finisher that this deck is typically playing, which is the Karen, it's already high probability that they know what's going to happen in the first attack. So if I see my opponent, like, look at 3 and then make a face and then use Karen, I'm just like, one of 2 awful things is about to happen. Either there's 2 climaxes here and I'm going to lose 2 of them, or there's no climaxes here and I'm about to eat some free real estate. And so either way, it's horrific. Where it's like the number of times where it's just like, Ben looks at it, he's like, put that one on top. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And they'll be like, burn 1, it blocks. And I'm like, no, not blocks. I would have blocked the attack. Just like, talk about things that'll really ruin the math of something. Yeah. Getting to reorder the top of your opponent's deck, it turns out, is extremely good. So yeah. I highly recommend anyone play against Review Starlight. It's very fun. If you like losing to decks you feel like you shouldn't lose to, I got the deck for you. One final quick mention: Bulgaria had to run a singles event because they did not have enough players to run a team event. And it went exactly as you thought.
Socks little pants, Batman Ninja.
Except Batman Ninja got hurt.
Woo! Is this the Soxel I'm thinking of? Okay. Which one is it? It's the Borg one. Okay,
It's
okay.
the- yeah.
It's Elusive Kitty.
It's the
Elusive
good
Kitty.
one.
It's the good one. So
It's the cat one.
It's the cat one. It gives a level 0 that gets like top or bottom scry,
And then bounce
and then it gives that level 0, which already had top or bottom scry, top or waiting room scry, and then bounce. So
we're just chilling, landing vanillas in our
And then
lane,
we're gonna play
and then
our-
we're gonna double it.
and then we're gonna double attack with our Nightwing,
Yeah.
with our
got
Tenkai.
quad Nightwing. Yep,
Yeah,
quad
quad Nightwing. And not for nothing, he has the Springfest Batman Worlds promo and 3 of the SPs and 2 of the TDSP restand finishers. Well,
My man's been playing Batman for a long time.
props to you. Props to you. Props to you.
Yep.
Nice.
Those are really hard to find nowadays.
Those are deviously hard to find. I have one of the SP and
The TD one?
Yeah, one of both. The
TD one looks
the
incredible.
TD one and the
TD one of the best
normal
looking
finisher.
SPs in Weiss Schwarz, not for nothing.
Yeah, dude, the TD looks sick. I now understand the role that I must play.
Yeah, in terms of like dude signs, one of the best.
Yeah.
Like absolutely.
Yeah, and then the blue one is like, on the other hand, one of the worst ones because
Blue
it's
on
just
black,
fucking
yeah.
unreadable.
It's just unreadable. It's got a very cool quote. No one can read it.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty much.
Please do not foil black background cards, Bushiro. Just do a different art. Just make another art. Just do anything. Don't. No more foil black background.
Shout out to the Guilty Gear player in 4th as well for doing yet another variation on something Gold Lewis Potemkin, with this time being the level 1 choice Nagori Yuki combo. So
We're
we just
Kirito at home, and
Yeah.
without the scrying.
Yep.
And we have all the deck movement that Guilty Gear has, which is none.
yeah yeah.
So we actually have 4 Kai. And,
No, we have Operation Tornado.
And we have 4 Kai and we have Operation Tornado. That's literally all of our deck speed.
Yep.
And brainstorming probably every other turn.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And they ran a Shioko, which is kind of cute. And it's the World Finals
No,
one?
this is definitely the 2016 World Finals Shirokuro Fest Shioko that has Clock Encore. It's blue, and there are only 5 blue cards in the deck, being the 4 Akatsuki's and itself.
Is there a promo missing from deck log that they would like put this in as a placeholder?
Potentially. So, let's think.
The thing is I see two other.
Wait, hold up. It could be the May promo.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I think it could be.
Or Bridget.
Or Bridget. Bridget is also not in deck log. So let's see if the May promo is in, because I'm gonna
The 1-0?
Yeah.
I don't think I've
I
ever-
don't know if it grabs anything. That's why I'm checking. So
I
that's a
honestly
1K.
don't-
It
it's-
gets you. It only gets you. Let's see. It gets you the Leafa, the spammable brainstorm, the hexproof, and that's it. Okay. So
I guess it's possible, but not for nothing. I don't think I've ever seen that card in real life.
Oh, I mean,
You have one?
Yeah, I got one. I got a playset.
What's
I can show
wild
you.
is just like
Yeah.
how unplayable that card is.
Yeah, it's horrifyingly bad. And it makes me sad every time I look at it, except that the art is very good, so I like that. Yeah. Yep. There it is. So,
Alright.
yeah, it's probably the Bridget promo, which helps a lot with our lack of deck speed problem, because refresh.
Yeah, I mean, just block, right?
Just block.
That's
Opium.
the thing is that like I come from an era of Weiss Schwarz where that was the strat. Like if you
Yeah,
trigger
yeah.
twice, hope you don't. Like your deck doesn't have a way to deal with that. The way you deal with it is you're gonna lose a level of your HP.
I mean, let's be real, not for nothing. There have been so many games in the last 3 months that all that happens is I go into deck 2, I double trigger immediately, and I'm like, oh, I've lost the game. That's my bad. I didn't realize that that's what we were doing here today, but you know, all you deck, you wanted to commit suicide. That's your prerogative.
Yeah,
because it'll be like, it's like trigger pants. Oh, okay, we'll hold on to the climax for the next deck because
Yeah.
we would like to be doing things next turn instead of nothing.
Yeah.
And then
Trigger.
trigger. I'm out 4. All right, cool. Death,
Good, yeah.
instantaneous.
That's the thing is that like nothing will make your opponent try to figure out a way to hit 3 like triple trigger. They're like, what do I got to do? How much do I got to use to get there?
All right.
All right.
So our doctor is back. He's run some numbers. What are we looking at?
All right, so we have some interesting results if there's only double Aki followed by a third swing. And yeah, as you know, as natural, the probability goes down. So the question is, how much does it decrease? And that depends on the compression. So let's see. Looking at a previous example, so chance of dying from 3-0 to triple Aki for revenges, 8 and 30, 65%. Now, let's remove an Aki from this. So we're 3-0, 8 and 30, max revenge. But now the odds are only 39%.
Wow.
So almost a 20% reduction.
No, that's a 30% reduction.
39 to, what did I say, 60?
Or is it 39?
39 to
Okay,
65.
60? Yeah. So,
Okay.
Yeah, almost
20,
a 30% reduction.
Almost 30. But there's cases where it doesn't decrease as much as you would hope.
Right.
So let's look at a small deck. Small decks is where double Aki still gets to do a lot of powerful high damage. So, okay, dying from 3-0 to triple Aki with 2 and 12, that's 78%. But now, if we're 2 and 12 and staring down only a double Aki, this is 29%.
From 2-4 for 3-0.
Oh, wait, 3-0.
It's
63.
Okay. So we still get about a 10% drop, but not like a 25% drop.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, in these small deck scenarios, double Aki does really well at finding climaxes and sticking packets if they're swinging first.
yeah, and that makes sense to me because the reason it's good against bigger decks with triple is because you get another big dig, like an 8 dig from the deck, whereas with double you don't need that much dig to get to basically all the climaxes that remain. So, all right, let's talk about, do we have the 8 and 30 numbers? Because those...
Yeah, we got no, I think it's...
Yeah, we should have 8 and 30. Fresh deck stats. Yeah, okay, so 8 in 30. Yeah, so triple is... Yeah, 8 and 30. Triple was 65% from 3-0.
And now it's,
Yeah, and then 39% with double.
Right, and from 2-4, you're good to go now.
Yeah, from 2-4, before it was a 30% chance, but now it's
Like a 1%.
30% chance. Is that, huh?
No.
Is that right?
It's like a 1%.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong number.
Yeah. You are like not dying. Like
Yeah,
straight.
so the 2-4 numbers...
Yeah, 1%. Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
At 8 and 30...
Wow,
yeah.
I didn't realize it'd be that far down.
No,
but
you're
I mean, it makes sense because you don't mail out the whole deck anymore. Yeah.
Right. No. Yeah. A lot of it's kind of underrated. But the thing is that if you're at 3-0 against Aki, you're not actually at 3-0. You're at 3-1. You just don't know it yet because
Refresh.
he's gonna mill a minimum of 24 cards plus the damage cards.
It's coming.
Yeah.
And so
can't-
like you're
yeah.
really a damage less than you think you are at all times. And so this is the type of number that I was hoping to see, because what we see here is still a very good probability of winning the game if they're at 3-0, and almost like any mediocre deck state. Like even the best deck states, there's still an okay chance of winning the game. And if your deck state is poor, there's a very decent chance of winning the game. But it is probable that you will lose if you are trying to win from 2-4 with double Aki under almost any circumstance. So, this is good data. This is good news, because I feel that one of the least satisfying things about Weiss Schwarz in the current meta, and one of the least satisfying things about Weiss Schwarz in general, is dying at level 2 before you get to use your finisher. Nobody likes that. And a lot of times the game is outside of your control. And so it increases the player base's like hopelessness in the game when you get hit to 3, you see your opponents at 2-1, and you're just like, this game's over. There's no way for me to win, because what's invariably going to happen is if I try to win, I'll lose, and if I don't try to win, I'll lose anyway. So what can I actually do to win the game? And the answer is nothing, because you need it to not be a level down at this stage of the game. You can be a level down at level 2. You cannot be a level down at level 3. So this is all good news. This is the exact news I was hoping for. Double Aki with Quad Revenge into mediocre deck states is still very good. But you're not going to win from 2-4. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
So our prescription is to reduce the amount of Akis we have by 1?
Yes, that will greatly increase your odds of feeling better.
All right.
You know, we can all hope for this JP restrict to come on down. Come on down hot. Reduce our odds from dying from 2-4 from like a 40% to like 1 on average across the board. Feels a little better for the soul.
Absolutely.
But while we're still here, suffering, 40%'s better than 60.
Yeah, so we know...
Or 70, or 80, or, you know, like, whatever it is, given your deck state at 3-0 and above.
Yeah, so hopefully we gave the right kind of information for everybody to take away from this. Heal down. Don't worry about your compression too much, and if you can...
Actually, no, worry about your compression, because...
If I can choose between heal down and compression...
Okay, if you can choose
heal.
between heal down and compression.
Right, but there's no... except for extreme examples, I would say it is probably okay to compress against Aki. Don't compress obscenely. I'm guessing if it's 1 and 2 or something like that, you can get some very odd deck states.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If you have 8 climaxes and 16, I'm guessing that Aki will terrify and destroy you, but...
I mean...
But the thing is that if you have a low... if you have very low HP at that point...
I mean, we're here.
Yeah.
And you're here.
But if you have...
And this is here.
Yeah. I don't need the math to figure it out, because I guarantee if you're low on HP and you have extreme compression, you're going to live. But...
True.
But what I'll say is that compressing is good as long as it's normal.
Yeah.
Sure. Like, abnormal compression, maybe you avoid. But it's not bad to compress against Aki, and if the math turns out aberrant,
Please keep your climaxes.
Yes.
Like if there's gonna be a world where you're like, I'm about to refresh my deck, and like, or maybe
choose.
it's like you can pay
one
like
out.
for like a backup.
Yeah.
And like get a climax back.
Yeah.
Please do it.
Yes.
Please do it.
Yeah. The tactical decompress is confirmation bias only.
Yeah.
We definitely want as many climaxes as we can.
We love blocking damage.
A normal
That's
deck.
really cool.
Yeah. we want a normal deck with as many climaxes as we can have.
Yeah. And so, with our doctor's appointment over, we've gotten some kind of answer.
We have the prescription.
We have the prescription.
It's not 100% effective.
You know, it's that cursed knowledge that you kind of wish you didn't have, but now you do.
Yeah.
But
maybe you'll survive a few more games.
maybe you'll survive a few more games.
Make the finisher feel a little more tolerable.
Hopefully. Probably not. But hopefully. Thank you to Dr. Jon for hopping on the show, and also for, you know, succumbing to my whims and just like doing a lot of math for some reason.
My pleasure, Ben. I really enjoyed working on this. This was a fun little project, and now I essentially have a framework built up where I could, I want to say plug in any finisher. I'll have to make modifications, but it's a very flexible framework to calculate odds. And I hope to use this tool to learn more about the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we assume we know the math of the game more than we do. And so it's going to be a great tool for us going forward, just because a lot of times we ask those questions and they kind of go into the void, where it's like, I wonder what the chances this is going to work. Or I wonder what the right play is to make here. It's like vis-a-vis deck states. And so it's one of those things that it's nice to know. And maybe sometimes it's not so nice to know, because you'll make the right play mathematically, but it turns out wrong because sample sizes don't care about mathematics.
True.
So
there's one final cursed knowledge that I'm going to unlock for myself. So I'm going to be going to Duluth with the doctor over here.
Yeah, I'll be. We'll be with our third teammate, Billy.
Yeah. And because I lost the bet and we talked in Houston,
Yep.
I am wearing a maid outfit to Duluth. So I guess keep an eye out for that. But there are many game states where the opponent is at 2, 4, or 5. And I just feel like, you know what? I have the
We gotta go
finisher.
for it. Yeah.
Maybe that's just wrong.
It's possible.
And now, even worse, I have the means to find a way to know.
Yeah.
It's right here. This is a very generic framework. Like, I'm gonna get the code off of the doctor over here and like go home and write the review script.
What's actually great about all this is I don't have to do any coding whatsoever. I'll just ask you. My charmed existence as the guest, as the host that does the least work continues. Age really does have benefits.
But yeah, we're gonna go home and I'm gonna make a review script. And I'm gonna see.
Should I heal down?
But because it's like, a lot of the times it's gonna be, I'm just at 3-0.
Yeah.
And they're at 2-4, 2-5. And maybe
Maybe I shouldn't go for it.
it's better just to
Try and tank it.
just try and take it. Screw it.
Yeah. Hard to say.
Hard to say.
Hard to say.
But we'll see. It'll be good to know. But that's gonna be our show for today. So tune in next time after your next deck out, and don't you forget to take the refresh point.